No shopping tour was just a trap. Chinese American tourists scammed in China, traumatized, and vows never to return. The year 2025 has proven to be extremely difficult for China's tourism industry, not only because of economic downturn and shrinking consumer spending, but also due to the rampant problem of tourist overcharging and forced consumption. Recently, a Chinese American tourist, after a trip back to China, swore never to return again after falling victim to a series of tourist traps. She shared her experience as follows. On my recent trip back to China, I visited more than 10 cities, but the worst experience was in Yangshuo, Guangxi. I joined a 2-day, 1-night tour that was advertised as no shopping stops. In reality, we were taken to 4 shopping venues. More than sightseeing, the trip turned into a forced spending journey from early morning. At 6 a.m., we were rushed to wake up, eat a couple of steamed buns, and brace ourselves for a day full of spending traps. Children on the bus innocently peeled boiled eggs, completely unaware of what the adults were about to face. The first stop was a luxury cruise on the Li River. Things seemed relatively normal here. Salespeople tried to promote their products, but at least there was some choice. We picked a 180 yuan package with a small fish, some shrimp, and a pot of tea. But this was only the beginning. At the second stop, the group was taken to a village to watch an elderly woman comb her hair as part of a ritual. This was merely a prelude to selling silver jewelry. Although the guide initially said purchases weren't mandatory, he then repeatedly pressured the group, hinting that not buying would mean disrespecting their service. Under such moral coercion, many people gave in. We ended up buying several silver cups for nearly 7,000 yen. Next, the bus took us to a jade and emerald store. Tourists were followed by sales staff for 90 minutes, pushed to buy relentlessly. Eventually, we bought the cheapest item, still costing more than 500 yen, just to escape. But the last stop was the worst. Tourists were locked inside a small room where the pressure to buy was unbearable. Recording and photos were prohibited, making the atmosphere even more suffocating. On the return bus ride, the guide continued pushing local specialties at prices 2 or 3 times higher than online. For instance, seaweed snacks were sold at 100 yen for 3 boxes, while the same product could be found online for less than 50. Forced consumption has become a major issue in China's tourism industry, particularly at popular destinations. Recently, another Chinese American family reported a similar experience in Guilin, where a so-called no shopping tour turned out to be nothing but a disguised shopping trip. The scandal deepened when tourists at the Mulong Tower scenic area were required to pay 55 yuan, about $8, just to use the restroom. A viral video showed a male tourist repeatedly stopped by a security guard demanding that he buy a ticket. The scene sparked widespread outrage, with many calling it blatant extortion. The problem doesn't stop at restrooms. Tourists have complained of electric bike rentals costing 50 yuan for just 2 hours, or parking fees near Yangshuo's West Street reaching 50 yuan per session. Some local restaurants charge even more. Outrage boiled over when a video showed a tour guide in Guizhou blocking a bus, refusing to let the group leave until each tourist spent at least 5,000 yen at a jade shop. The guide openly admitted, "If I told you beforehand, nobody would sign up for this cheap tour. For 199 yuan, we're driving you over 400 kilometers. Without shopping, I lose money." This arrogant stance escalated into confrontation, with one frustrated tourist slapping the guide. In 2025, scandals involving forced spending spread nationwide. In Dali, one guide bragged about never missing a sale in 10 years. In Shangri-La, tourists were pressured to buy overpriced jade. At the heart of the problem is the low-cost tour model, where cheap tickets serve only as bait to trap tourists into excessive spending at designated shops. Weak regulations and lenient punishments only worsen the situation. In the first half of 2025 alone, there were 12,000 tourism-related violations across the country, yet the total fines amounted to less than one-third of the illegal profits. While overcharging scandals remain unresolved, safety incidents have further tarnished the industry. On August 6th, in the Zada scenic area of Xinjiang, a suspension bridge cable snapped, causing 29 people to fall into the river, killing 5 and injuring 24. Just 2 months earlier, the same bridge tilted 15 degrees after another cable broke, injuring 22 tourists. Also in August, at a food festival in Hunan province, A pirate ship ride snapped in half while carrying passengers who screamed as they climbed down in panic. Meanwhile, in Anji, Zhejiang province, thousands of tourists endured 2-hour waits under scorching heat for shuttle buses to a rafting site. A young girl fainted from heat stroke while the rafting attraction was repeatedly accused of having no rescue staff on duty. Beyond overcharging and safety hazards, a new phenomenon is reshaping China's tourism: the rise of zero cost tourism. Young people now pitch tents, sleep in cars, and bring their own instant noodles and self heating meals to avoid spending at scenic spots. Free areas are jam packed while ticketed attractions are deserted. A manager of a 5A rated scenic area admitted daily visitors exceeded 30,000, but revenue fell by 40% compared to 3 years ago. Data from an online travel platform showed that in 2025, searches for free scenic spots increased by 210% year on year, and budget travel guides reached 1.2 billion views. From blatant overcharging and forced consumption to safety disasters and the boom of zero cost tourism, China's tourism industry in 2025 is facing a grim reality. With public trust collapsing, tourists increasingly see attractions not as destinations worth paying for, but merely as free backdrops for social media posts. And that is the harsh truth now confronting the world's largest tourism market.